Well, this is supposed to be a video about a certain character, as Future Jordan may have put on the thumbnail and title, but I mean, I gotta talk about probably what Future Jordan put as a thumbnail, something about RNG, as we get Goizo, random item stats, and we're playing Eldritch Parasite, so yeah, if there's anything, and I'll talk about it after the timestamp as well, but to just preface what I'm going to say here, if there's any... Oh, I forgot. Yeah, I forgot my... Oh, no, Eldritch Parasite. I'm going crazy. I'm going absolutely crazy, but... Yeah, if there's anything that could get me to develop games and just get back to game development, it's RNG in games, whether it's good or bad. In this case, usually it's not a bad thing, but I'll explain later as we get into Goizo, Eldritch Parasite, Random Item Kana. So, the very first thing, the whole point of this little mini-series is that we are going to try and get one of two spells. So I'm breaking all of my house rules, which... I mean, they're house rules, so they don't really matter. Charisma, second encounter. I thought this was Takushisan for some reason. Second mystery, dexterity, Takushisan, finally, on the 5th floor. And then knowledge, maybe, but we don't really care because we're Kana. So, away we go. I mean, we should care, but what I'm trying to say is when we get Mind Drain and or Ghostly Spear, let's see how it is. We only need one of them too, so... Yeah, we'll see. The library notes, I'm probably just going to end up selling unless they sell for 0. The figurine is nice too. I actually should have picked that up after. I should have just kept the library notes, but too late now. And as always, you know, we'll treat this as a custom content thing. And I will let you know if the custom mysteries will affect me greatly. Like phantasms and frogs. So, actually, yes, they will affect me. But, yeah, I want to talk about RNG and how that can always get me back into game dev because of how... It comes down to me saying something along the lines of, I can make a better game. That's not the specific phrase, but just to simplify things. Hey, we get Mind Drain. Okay, so this run should be a slam dunk, right? Like, we should just win automatically, but let's find out. Now, obviously, I still need to make correct choices here and there, but for the most part, we shouldn't be dying. And I forgot what my other mystery... I know we have frogs and phantasms. I guess we'll put the police patrols in the village, question mark? No, the forest. If we somehow visit the village more, so be it, but anywho. And the primary reason is that I recently went through an experience where it's essentially 15%. I know I've talked about a certain roulette game. That is essentially... I think it's like the odds of getting the 1 out of 6 is 16%, 0.66 repeating. But it's close enough as 15%, it doesn't matter. For me, that small little 1% difference is like, ooh, 1%, it doesn't matter to me. So, I think I even give leeway of like 5 to 20%. You could show me 70% and I'll be like, it's 50-50 to me. Like, really? So, and that experience has happened so much in the past 3 days. Like, I immediately just go back to game development because I'm like, boy... And what that translates to is that usually I will not if I give the player away to RNG things, I will usually... I mean, there might be a higher chance of you failing to do whatever it is you want to do, but the ultimate RNG, and I'll define this in a hot moment, but the ultimate RNG should be nowhere bigger than 20 to 30%, unless I explicitly say, this is an exception, unless I explicitly say that something is a certain percent, like 50-50. And so what I mean by ultimate RNG is that if you need something to... If you're looking at a binary state, and for those, I mean, I'm using kind of pretty words, but essentially to succeed, like if you want to win a fight, but you're gambling on, say, a skill that takes, you know, has a 50% chance of proccing something good, otherwise nothing happens, or something bad happens, then what I really mean by ultimate RNG is that you only need it to happen once, out of maybe you need to do it, you have the chance to do it 2 or 3 times without dying is what I mean to say. Like, without passing that point of no return in which you're putting so much effort into trying to hit this 50% that you end up dying as a result. Maybe in an RPG, or maybe failing in a story-type game, so on and so forth, something of that nature. So if you need to win the ultimate RNG of if you only have 3 chances and you decide on all 3 chances to roll or flip a coin, then your ultimate RNG is 12.5%. Does that make any sense? So your ultimate RNG, whenever I make something in a video game, unless I explicitly say that, hey, I usually warn the player in these cases, you're gonna take a big risk here, and if I warn the player of that, then the odds are whatever I state. Plus or minus ultimate RNG. But otherwise, if I don't state something, then what ends up happening is I usually don't have you roll more than like a 20-30% chance of failure. So which means you have a 70 to 80% chance of success. Now, devil's advocate, all things considered, as I forget what's at the lighthouse, but all things considered, you know, if you look at it in game dev terms, if 15% of your audience doesn't like you, but the other 80-85% do, that's what I kind of mean, but I'm relating this to the 15%, then your game is it is a success, right? If you end up keeping 85% of your audience and they like your game, next to the 15% who dislike your game, I think that's still a success, but... So... And by that, I also mean that, hey, look at this thing. Hey, I get to mind drain you. Haha, 90% Doom. Die, monster. You don't belong in this world. I didn't even know who that was created by. I didn't look at the name. But I saw 90% Doom, and I looked at Kana, and I looked at mind drain, and I laughed in its face. Anywho, so... But yeah, RNG is a heck of a thing, and when it happens, I mean, it's gonna happen to me again, so I don't need to worry. Also, we are dying to Doom here, so... Granted, I did take a lot of Doom decisions regardless, but I really shouldn't be dying here. But you know what? Eldritch Parasite things. And this is only my first run, so in a vacuum of runs, if nothing else, this, like I said, I don't have to wait for bad RNG. I don't have to lament the fact that I'm like, oh, I should have recorded this because this is a moment that people should have watched along with me for fun. No, I don't need to worry about that when it happens all the time, so... Shrug! Also, I think that Snowman may have been my second encounter, if I recall correctly. But anywho. Yeah, RNG. Keeping in mind, so, RNG exists in a pretty much, I think a majority of games have some kind of RNG in them. Now, it may be weighted RNG in that RNG is more towards your side. An example is Baldur's Gate 3 with loaded dice that can help the player, you know, not deal with true RNG if you decide to so do that in a game of in Baldur's Gate 3, but still, that doesn't mean you know you're going to roll a 1, critically fail, or you're going to get hurt. You know what I should be doing? I should be improvising, but I'm not cool enough to do that. But you're gonna roll badly eventually, but that's to be expected for average RNG. What does happen, and as I've mentioned before, I won't say it too much because I've already said it. I've already talked about it already as we get the Doom status left, right, and center. And I know I'm using customs. I probably shouldn't be using custom mysteries, but I forgot what I was gonna say because I'm so flabbergasted by how high my Doom is relative to what's happening on screen. We do have to visit the monument now because of that. And we're probably gonna take more Doom because of that as well, but if we were to... This is a funny little situation, so let me explain what I mean as I level up quickly. I should probably level up quickly here. So let me explain what I mean. So you might be thinking, well, Jordan, why did you visit the monument if when your reason falls down to 0, you get 5 Doom anyway? So didn't you just lose 2 Doom overall? No, there is a kind of sweet spot, and and there is a practical use. For example, if you know in the case where yes, you do end up going down to 0 reason and getting 5 Doom anyway. If that was going to happen without you using the monument, essentially you won't die a second time, then it's to your benefit. If that makes any sense. I feel like it makes sense, but if you need more explanation, let me know. Otherwise, yeah, so in another way to think about it is, say you have 17 reason instead, because you're expecting to die another time on reason to Kana, and the monument asked for reason, then if you aren't going to lose more than 14 reason, then you've essentially kept your Doom. You have decreased Doom overall, if that makes any sense. Because if you're going to lose 7 reason anyway, you might as well spend a bit more reason lowering your Doom. Whereas opposed to if you lose that 7 reason anyway and don't visit the monument, then you're just working with extra Doom, which may, again, there's a sweet spot in which you run into an event and maybe you make a different decision because you have higher Doom. Maybe you don't. Maybe you need that extra Doom that you would have gotten from the monument to do other things. I think that makes sense, but if it doesn't, well, let me know. Also, I just took reason there because I really should be doing this on the base game because the whole balance of, even though I think it's mostly negligible anyway, especially when Kana runs into that enemy that did 90% Doom, but that's not normal. So all things considered, that's not normal. Joking aside, but hey. But at the same time, like I said, if you're really unlucky, doesn't matter if you have Mind Drain. But let's see, this is still a winnable run, but hey. Also, I didn't mean to raise my voice that much because I probably blew out the mic, but hey. I'm a bit heated. RNG things are happening, both on screen and in my memories. So, like, come on! This is why I don't understand why people are, oh, Kana's top 3, because you could spam Ghostly Spirit and Mind Drain. That's true. For me, though, absolute garbage. I'm worried about Doom, and I'm worried about Reason. But if I'm worried about Reason on Kana, then you're worried about Doom. That being said, I haven't made the best choices in custom on these events, but hey, also, yeah, police patrols in the forest, but we still have max threat level. Theoretically speaking, this should be a winnable run. But with some bad RNG, yeah, it's not going to happen. Now, that being said, yes, being able to Mind Drain Ghostly Spirit infinitely does remove the encounters. But my counterpoint is that even though these encounters are pretty much all being one-shot and are free, the events are absolutely slapping me in the face. So, but again, I won't deny that. Yes, Kana is very popular. If you put Kana in your top 3, the minimum amount I'll say is that Kana is in your top 3. Kana is not in my top 3 because of what you are seeing on screen right now. And let's assume we have 10% more Doom to work with. So effectively, let's pretend we're at 71% Doom and see how well we're off. Although with 10%, that's a lot of Doom to have actually. But you get the point. We would be able to survive. But let's find out. Let's find out. Also on a Goizo run, Goizo Eldritch Parasite is they counter each other and let you have an easier time because you can't. Resting does literally nothing for you, and actually does nothing unless you're purposely trying to run to STE, which is not a positive thing. So I'm shrugging in real life in a very specific way, but let's lower. Oh, I meant to lower Doom. But maybe we lose 7 Reason and take a Doom increase anyway. Well, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. That being said, 8 Charisma. Okay, well, we rolled a 1 that time, thankfully. But let's see if we lose funds here. Nope. And I don't think we can take the stamina damage, so yeah. Or we'll try. If we end up losing 5 stamina anyway, then yes, I should have traded stamina. That's what I mean there. That's something that I've thought about before, and I think it does make sense. Again, if it doesn't make sense, let me know. But yeah, all things considered, if we had 78% Doom, and if we weren't using Mind Drain, Kana just dies here, by the way, with these custom events, so I really shouldn't be doing a mod pack type video here. I should be playing on base vanilla, but I decided, you know, just for fun, let's start out with as if we're doing a mod pack madness and see what happens. By the way, actually, no, we want to fight this phone. You know why? Because we one-shot the phone, or bulletin, or whatever you want to call it. Penalty damage, by the way, but anywho. So yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it is nice to get all this free experience. The problem is we're on a thingamajig, and I think we die to Doom no matter what now because of the increase of Doom. That being said, if we had 83% Doom, because I didn't make my mistakes, yes, you would be able to survive. So, in the end, the bottom line is, yes, there is a skill issue happening here, but actually, is it a skill issue? Because we're at 86% Doom here. Now I want to find out. I'm going to say yes. If we say no, we definitely die to Doom. By nature of losing something. I think you lose stamina or Reason. Either way. We'll pick up the phone and Mind Drain this bulletin. Mind Drain together. We belong. But yeah, really here, I think we die. If we die twice, do stamina and or Reason, then we would have died, even if we had an extra 10% Doom to work with, which is, again, I'm being very, very generous when I say that. I'm just going to gamble on these. Watch me miss, I was about to say, watch me miss 3 kicks right there. That would have, I would have just ended the video. Because we will die because of that. But anywho, yeah, let's move on. Actually, did I already take Quick Thinking, by the way? I did, so we can't get 8 Dexterity. Funny enough, the thing, and the soft drink doesn't do anything, unfortunately. But second encounter, second mystery, yeah. Theoretically, you always pass these, but I forgot. I think I want to say it was that 90% Doom enemy. I want to say Snowman, but I want to try to remember the actual name. Yeah, and then Final Stretch is a really Kana-specific thing. You can run into it with other characters. For those who don't know, Final Stretch, quote-unquote, the perk, end quote, is something you can take if you take every single perk that is available to the character. In Kana's case, Kana doesn't have any perks for themselves, so they have the general perks, and once you take enough of them, like you hit level 5 here, you'll see Final Stretch, but that doesn't do anything for me. In fact, neither of these do anything for me at the lighthouse here. So we'll take Dexterity for fun, and off we go. Yeah, and Takshan doesn't do anything to us, but the problem is that we don't have the Doom to spare here. So, yeah. I think, yeah, we could have survived with an extra 10% Doom. It would be very close. And we're assuming, yes, you get both of these right. Let me see here. I don't actually remember which it is. I want to say it's one of these two. I'm going to say Nightmare. Okay, it was. If that was the one that did 90% Doom, I don't remember at all. But, and then this we should get correct no matter what. Am I going crazy here? I'm going crazy here. I did Arms into Phantasm? No, I didn't. But either way, like, an extra 10% Doom when we get this right, we would absolutely survive. So yeah, without further ado, I guess I'll see you in another video in the next second episode where we're actually going to be playing base events. And